Okay, now I got some of this. I thought, well, cardboard was going to take ages to. Maybe you want to do this and then put some, and put this sort of across like that, so it's thin, but you know, let the water through, and slowly it'll break down, I suppose. And maybe if we need to wet it up, I don't know. So. Now let's see if we can put a bit of sand on the edges. Whoa. Okay, so harder than you think, fellas. I think it's going to have to be a light dusting of sand. Yeah, I think you're going to have to. It's a balancing act, fellas. It's like a trampoline, I think. Yeah, I know what it's like. It's like doing your nuts up on your tyre. You've got to do one here, one over there, sort of thing, and so on and so forth. So whether we can do the Newton thing, pull them, yeah, it would be, but the paper's wet now. But if the wet paper was dry, maybe you could do the Newton trick and inertia trick and just pull the. Yeah, so it's fine, fellas. Now, yeah, fine. That's all you have to do, basically. If we could do the Newton trick and just pull the paper away, it'll be fine. But anyway, for the first try run, anyway, we'll see. And we'll see if the sand actually gets surfacted this way. But we can actually use the universal surfactant to actually surfact some sand and put some surfacted sand on top. I'm wondering if that's what some of these commercial places are using. So we'll see how we go. But yeah, it seems to be alright. So I'll put it up to the top again because it's going to settle down, of course. Because remember, the sand will take half its volume in water, of course, and it will settle down a bit. So we're going to fill it right the way to the top. And of course, it's going to put pressure on those polystyrene beads, but I think they're pretty firm. So we've got quite a big 5 litre void space in the bottom. Hopefully that void space is going to become somewhat anaerobic as the reductive flammable gas is generated from the damp to wet polystyrene foam beads. They'll give off the reductive flammable gas. That'll produce a anaerobic environment fairly quickly. The organism can then start to colonise down there. And what does it do, fellas? As I said, all the books talk about no growth without nitrogen. So you know, if all these anaerobic organisms are nitrate loving organisms, where does the nitrate come from? The only conclusion I think you can come is that it's you know, basically on the surface, prima facie, it's got to come from the atmosphere, unless Mother Nature's had millions of years to work out how to turn neutrons into protons or something, and we shift from carbon to nitrogen or something. Is that right? I mean, it's pretty far-fetched, but again, biomimicry and sort of thing, you know, Mother Nature's already been there and done that sort of thing. So we'll see how that settles in, and water it in, and it should shrink down. As I said, it should shrink down half an inch or something like that, and then be off and running after that. So we'll just see. Oh, am I still on spot culling? Bugger. I bet I am. Yes, I am. Bugger. Okay. Back to normal focus. Okay. So it's all been slightly out of focus, has it? Because I've been on spot culling. Yeah, if you could convert carbon to nitrogen, if Mother Nature's had millions of years to find an enzyme that somehow can change the electronic cloud so it forces a single neutron to become a proton. Yeah, so we go from 6 to 7, and we'd convert carbon or charcoal into nitrate nitrogen. Is it possible? I mean, if you could prove something like that, it's an instant Nobel Prize, fellas. You do know that, don't you? Okay. Yeah, if you prove that Mother Nature has the ability of actually, what do they call it? Not alchemy, transmutation. Yeah, well, as I said, she's had millions, not billions of years to work on these things. So if there's a way, she's probably come across it. So, you know, don't laugh. As I said, don't laugh. There's more things that, you know, like you said, a building falling down is like a pendulum upside down. Yeah. A building falling down sideways is like a pendulum upside down. And the pendulum, of course, is independent of gravity. So can we separate inertia from force? They're independent. So like if you have a cannonball and a feather falling down in free space and you move the cannonball horizontally towards the feather, it will hit the feather and the feather will move. But if you put the feather horizontally going into the cannonball as it's falling down in a free fall environment sort of thing, when the feather hits the cannonball, because the inertia is greater than that of the feather will hit the cannonball and bounce off due to Newton's third law, but the cannonball will not move in a free-falling environment, so then with no air there and all that sort of thing. So yeah, because the mass, the inertial mass of the cannonball is greater than the inertial mass of the feather. Okay. Yeah, so things still have mass, even though there's seemingly no gravity there, sort of thing. I mean, isn't that what they said? It was Einstein. He said it was his greatest thought when he suddenly realised, you know, there's really no gravity there. Sort of thing, when the cannonball and the feather were falling down in a free fall environment, sort of thing. Yeah. Anyway, we'll see how we go. But tune in. I'm probably going to call it Squaring the Circle. So if I manage to crack it, it'll be in a series of clips known as, and I'll go back over last year's progression of how we got from one thing to the next, how we got to this thing, which seemed to be the best idea at the time. Hang on, spot Cullen. How we went from there, and then we got to this sort of this square thing, if I can do it without breaking it. So we got to, if I can quickly do it, 2 lines like there. Hang on. So we got this little unit here, and basically that's like a spherical north on one side and a spherical south on the other, and vice versa. So a very simple unit, but using this as a basis, we can combine these two ideas, and we should get the whole thing to work. Whether we just have 4 or we have 6 as in a hexagon, I don't know. I think a hexagon might be better. You get more oomph. And once it gets going, of course, you're going to get the momentum, and it will just keep going. And what you want is a weight on there, a bit like a armature of a record player. So armature of a record player is like a pendulum on the side, sort of thing. Do you get it? A pendulum on the side. A pendulum is independent of gravity, right? So pendulumic motion is independent of gravity. Do you get that? It's friction that slows it down, not the gravity. Get it? It's very subtle. Anyway, so it's friction that slows things down. It's not the gravity, because it's independent of gravity, of course. A pendulum is. So that's what Galileo worked out, that a pendulum is independent of gravitational force. So a pendulum will work on the moon, it will work on Jupiter, it will work on, because it's all independent of, yeah. So, yeah. I think the period stays the same on no matter what planet you're on. Am I right? It's dependent on the length of the rope and the mass of the object. So there's just two variables, basically. The length of the rope and the mass of the object gives you the period, and it's independent of gravity. So, you know, if you swing that mass with that rope, you know, with that inertial mass on Earth, you swing it on the moon, and swing it on... if I've understood this thing correctly, it's independent of the force due to gravity. But anyway, could be wrong. But anyway, we'll see how we go. But yeah, I think I'm going to be able to crack it by April now. So yeah, tune in there. But I'll put it under the series Squaring the Circle, because you might get a laugh for what that really means. But anyway, we'll see how we go. But that's about it. Nothing much else. Just to, I suppose we could wet it up, couldn't we? Find the old blue turquoise. Yeah, what's the opposite of turquoise? It's brown, isn't it? Yes. If you're thinking colour, you never hit a wrong note. Is that right? Is that how you can have music that seems to go totally the opposite way? You go up the piano one way, you go down the piano the other way, and it sounds like you've just gone up. But it's so hard for normal people, other than Mozart, to do things like that. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. See how we go. Oh, what do we got? Put the volume up so the camera can pick it up. A bit louder. Do it again. Get it? Okay, over and out. See ya.